TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. It's your boy Brandon Scott. And today we are going to review, or rather preview, the Washington Wizards game at LA against the Clippers. It is this first of a back to back with the Clippers and LA and the Lakers. And it is the second game of a 6-game road trip. We're going to talk about potential lineups, injuries, and a little bit about Kyle Kuzma and some comments he made to the Washington Post. Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. So what's up, everybody? It is your boy Brandon Scott tonight. I'm rolling solo tonight. It's going to be a quick episode. I know it's Friday night. I know everybody's ready to pop open them beers and roll with the cognac. So real quick tonight, we're going to go over potential lineups, look at the injuries for both teams because there's a lot of injuries on both teams. And there were comments via the Washington Post talking about Kyle Kuzma's intent going into the free agency. So let's get right into it. So as you know, the Washington Wizards, game 2 of their 6-game road trip on the West Coast. And this is actually the first game of the back-to-back. They play the Clippers tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and they play the Lakers on Sunday. So looking at the lineups. Now, before we can even get into the lineups, we're going to go over the injuries because both teams are rolling with a lot of injuries right now. And considering they got more than we do, we're going to go through the Clippers real quick. If you look at day-to-day, Zubac is day-to-day. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Kennard, and Reggie Jackson are all day-to-day. Now, it's assumed that most of them look like they are going to be game-time decisions, but they should play. But we're going to look at the lineups with and without them. And looking at our Washington Wizards, Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis are both day-to-day. DeLon Wright and Rui Hachimura are out. So looking at potential lineups, we just played them not too long ago at home. First time John Wall being back in the 202. So we are familiar with this team. Now, looking at it, Monte Morris will be at the point guard position. Now, who he plays against, will it be Reggie Jackson? Will it be John Wall? They're very similar skill sets. They both can drive. Both Jackson's a better shooter than John Wall is. But I think either way, Monte Morris is in for a rude awakening. I think it's going to be a tough matchup either way for Monte Morris. Now, another way you can look at it is, do they start Jordan Goodwin? That is a possibility. They could start Goodwin. Considering his defensive prowess and how he played John Wall when they came into DC. So you could see Jordan Goodwin. Shooting guard, as you know, Bradley Beal is day-to-day. So you could see him. You could see Corey Kispert. Corey Kispert has been starting in his place, and he has done well. Now, he has been struggling of late, but I feel like Corey Kispert's shot was finally starting to get some rhythm. So really, we want a kind of a comeback game for him. We want him to kind of play better, get his shot rolling. So either way, Bill Kispert, I think we're in good hands at the 2 guard. Now, Denny will man the small forward. Kyle Kuzma at the 4, and KP, if he plays, will be at the 5. And if not, that is another question. Do they start Taj or do they start Daniel Gafford? Last game that KP was out, they started Taj, and it didn't look too good. Taj he's lost a step. He's an older player. I think that Daniel Gafford should have been the guy to start. But that is your starting 5 for the Wizards. Now, flipping over to the Clippers, a lot of day-to-day. Looking at the 2 guard, Kennard or Paul George could play at the 2. So really, we're really not going to get a clear picture of the starting lineups, especially for the Clippers, till game time decision. A lot of them are game time decisions. So Kawhi Leonard is expected to play. Marcus Morris Sr., who cooked us, one of the guys who cooked us on the perimeter last game, we played them at the 4. And Zubac looks like he might start the 5. And I know that they do have Hartenstein and they do have Moses Brown. And Robert Covington they have been playing him at the 5. So there's 3 possibilities for the Clippers at the 5 position if, indeed, Zubac does not play. Now, looking at the bench, 3 players I want to point out for our team that I think could have good games. Obviously, Jordan Goodwin, defensively, he is a beast, man. His shot, I want to see him more. I do want to see him shoot more, have more confidence with his jump shot. But, you can't say enough about Jordan Goodwin. The dog, the effort, The defense, Barton, does he have another good game? Does he step up? And Daniel Gafford, how many minutes does he play? The minutes were going up, and then the last game he played 10 minutes. So what do we see from Wes Unseld Jr. when it comes to playing time for Gaff? So those are, and real quick, 3 players from the Clippers. Now, we already talked about Moses Brown and Robert Covington at the 5 or the 4 for Covington's case. But Terrence Mann, I think Terrence Mann is another player we need to look at because he can shoot. He is an electric scorer, kind of like Will Barton. Come off the bench, he's an electric scorer. So that is one guy to look at. So again, those are the prospective starting lineups for both teams. Now, it's subject to change. A lot of injuries. It seems like this year the NBA overall is dealing with a lot of injuries. So that is going to be your starting 5 going forward prospectively. So before we move on, tonight's episode is brought to you by NHTSA. Drive sober or get pulled over. You're hanging out with some friends and putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many. As the evening comes to an end and people start to head out, you think of calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. You can make it home okay. It's no big deal. What are the odds you get pulled over anyway? And even so, what's the worst that could happen? Your insurance goes up? You lose your license? You lose your job? You total your car? You kill someone? Everyone knows about the risk of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that doesn't seem to stop everyone from getting behind the wheel while under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now. I mean, right now, looking for a pair of drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Play it safe and plan ahead and get a ride. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's life forever. Drive sober or get pulled over. Again, be careful if you're going to drink tonight. I know it's Friday night. Definitely drink at home. If you're going to the club, definitely have an Uber pre-planned. You do not want to make a mistake that's going to cost not only you your life, but someone else's. Tonight's episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. How does it work, you ask? Pick 2 to 6 players, and if they go score more or less than a Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. Again, 25 times your money. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you can watch. This includes the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NHL, PGA Golf, college football, men's and women's college basketball, soccer, the WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada, the neighbors to the north. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepick.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code locked on. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code locked on to sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. I know it's Friday night. I'm rolling solo tonight, but definitely appreciate you guys showing up. It's going to be a quick episode. We went over the prospective starting lineups and the injury report. So let's get into the Kyle Kuzma rumors. Now, as you know, there have been rumors of the Phoenix Suns, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Sacramento Kings talking to the Wizards about a prospective trade. As you know, the Sacramento Kings came close to acquiring him the year before last, before we sent Russell Westbrook to La La Land. So via Legion Hoops on Twitter, or through Legion Hoops via the Washington Post, it was said by Kyle Kuzma that his plans are to decline his player option, and he does not see an extension in DC happening. So an extension is not in the horizon for Kyle Kuzma. He is looking to get paid anywhere from 20 to 25 million, and he's looking for either a bigger market or a contending team. So I'm going to get into questions and comments at the end because it's Friday night. We're going to keep it simple, but I want to talk to y'all. What do you guys think? And if you look at it, I'm going to give you guys 3 major packages for trade. 1, Sacramento Kings. Now, from the trades I saw online, the best one I saw was sending Kyle Kuzma to the Sacramento Kings for Keegan Murray and a first-round pick. I'm a big fan of that. Keegan Murray, man, is going to be a star. Homeboy is in the running for Rookie of the Year. That is a player that I would love. So that is a trade package I would consider, because if you look at Kyle Kuzma slide in there with that team where the Kings are playing above expectations, he could give them that spark going to the playoffs. And really, the Kings could make some noise going into the playoffs, which is hard to say because, I mean, it's been a long time for the Kings to be in this position, but I think that this is the year where they could play well. I'm not going to say they're going to make a run, but the Kings are definitely a team to look out for. Number two, the Phoenix Suns. There's been a lot of traction as far as sending Kyle Kuzma to the Phoenix Suns, and me, both believe that if you slide Kyle Kuzma into their lineup, that could really give them enough firepower going into the playoffs, especially with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Aiden. The list goes on. Mikal Bridges, I think he can slide right into the four and be successful. Now the return. Whew, this is where it gets funny. Jay Crowder, obviously his name has been floated around coming our way. But Cameron Payne has been a name that has been floated. We do need a point guard. Now, does Cameron Payne move the needle? Not really. Is he starting material? Maybe. But, me and Ed have both talked about the Wizards and their inability to find a starting point guard and trying to turn combo guards into starting point guards, whether it's Spencer Dinwiddie, whether it's Tim Frazier, and now Monte Morris. So I don't know if I would take Cameron Payne. That is an option, but that is one trade package. The third one, the Atlanta Hawks. And Atlanta Hawks, as you know, Trae Young is having a lot of friction with the head coach. Not that he's up for the trade block. I think Atlanta's going to hold on to him for a while. But if you look at it, Kyle Kuzma, you could look at that center they got out of USC. I'm sorry, the name. And it's crazy because I'm actually of Nigerian descent, but the name, but I know a lot of y'all know who I'm talking about, but other people we look at, Jalen Johnson is a name that in the draft I wanted us to pick up. That will be a name on the return. AJ Griffin. So out of those three packages, I want you guys to let me know which ones would you lead on to if you have to move Kuz. Now, obviously they don't need to move Kuz. We're in a position, we're currently 11 and 18, 12th in the East, but we are starting to get guys back from injury. Bradley Beal's coming back, Kristaps Porzingis is coming back, DeLon Wright is ramping up. And Rui Hachimura, out of the four injured players right now, has been kind of the mystery player. They've it's been kind of week to week. He's dealing with a bone bruise, so we don't really know an ETA as far as him come back to the lineup. But his bench production, we are missing. But again, with Bill and KP coming back and DeLon Wright ramping up, and because there's been rumors that he will be back, hopefully, on this road trip. So, maybe this team does a wait and see approach, see how we are full strength. But as they often say, when there's smoke, there's fire. Kuzma, as you just read or heard, he said he's just the likelihood of him staying long term is dim. So at this point, if you're looking at it from an organizational standpoint, we need the picks. Obviously we need to rebuild now. We don't know where Bradley Beal's leaning. His comments on the podcast with Gilbert Arenas was alarming to fans and should have been to management. But, his facial expressions on the sidelines with these last three games, he hasn't looked happy. So the question is, at what point does he ask out? Kyle Kuzma, I think, could be the first domino of a rebuild because, like I said, we're 11 and 18. So we're already, gearing up for the Wembanyama wins sweepstakes already. Whether it's him or Scooter Henderson, but we're already sliding, man. And yeah, a part of me wants to kind of see how this team can maybe try to get some traction and maybe dig out of this hole. The injuries just hit at the wrong time, and with Kuz already saying this, February, the trade deadline is coming up. So again, I want you guys to go ahead and tell me which three packages would you consider if you were the general manager of the Washington Wizards. So before we get into comments, questions, and wrapping it up for the night, because I know it's Friday night, I appreciate you guys showing up, showing your boys some love. But before we move on, tonight's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college football season to basketball and the World Cup. We got it all at BetOnline.net. If you love sports podcasts like this one, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest, easy way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen. For the next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Day podcast. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts. So let's go into some comments. And again, I appreciate everybody showing up tonight. I decided to do live because I wanted to talk to y'all about, the Kyle Kuzma comments and looking forward to this back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. So let's get into it. Corey Lott, my dude. What's up? What's going on, man? How you doing tonight? Again, Corey Lott, if we come back home 0-6 on this road trip, it's time to think about blowing it up and letting our young guys finish the season. I completely agree. You know, this I we've been saying that me and E have been saying that this road trip is a measuring stick. These are some tough teams. Sacramento, Phoenix, both LA teams. I know the Lakers have been struggling, but with them, I mean, look at the last time we played them. They have a lot of firepower. Anthony Davis is finally healthy. He's playing well. LeBron, age 40. I wish I'm that agile at age 40. I'm just saying. They are a team that is dangerous. There's a clear distinction. There's a clear difference between us and the Lakers. Yeah, the Lakers, they're a storied franchise. So when they struggle, people kind of take it a lot more personal than they should. But they're clearly a team that is, maybe they're moved maybe two away from being a contender in the West, but they're a good team. So yeah, we could easily go home 0-6, easy. And at that point, will they think about blowing it up? I see management taking a slow approach. I think Tommy Shepard and Ted Leonsis, and then really, Wes Unseld, they're going to try to wait and see how this team flows at full strength. Because I know this team. I know how they roll. I just know them. So they're going to wait and see how it is with everybody coming back. But I mean, you got to consider it. With these comments by Kyle Kuzma, him, he's not going to opt into his play option. He's going to try to get paid. So you have to get value. So if Kyle Kuzma is the first domino to fall, do you see yourself making a push with Rui at the 4? And I'd rather us try to get some picks, try to get value. First I'm asking Brad, where do you want to go? And I'm letting him roll. I'm sending Kuzma out of town. I'm trying to get a pick. And if with KP being healthy this season, maybe look through the market, see if you can get a good deal for him. Because as he's going to a player option too. Now it has been said that through sources that he is leaning towards staying in DC, and maybe he could play. The thing about KP, man, is that he's always you always worry about injuries with him. It is never a talent standpoint. It's always injuries. He has been healthy so far, but if you look at his overuse, West has been using him a lot. Not giving Gaff many minutes, not being very consistent with many minutes for Gaff, and now he's starting to have back issues. So that's something you have to worry about. If you look forward, in the future, and the KP is a guy you want to build around, you can't overplay him. You can't play him franchise minutes, because that's the thing with franchise players. Your LeBrons, these top guys, these top echelon players, you're going to have to play them because, the money, the skill set, you have to play them long minutes. And if you have a guy who, if you play them long minutes, there's he gets hurt. It's just something you got to think about with KP. The talent is immense. He's 7'3", he can shoot from behind the arc, he can play D, he's agile, he can create his own shot. So any other day of the week, this guy is somebody you want to keep on the team. But again, injuries are an issue. So now I definitely agree with you. We can definitely go home 0-6. Now I say 1-5, but I think 0-6, until we start getting full strength, start getting these guys back, I think is a realistic look. All right, let's check it out. We're going to get about 6 more comments, man. I'm feeling motivated tonight. Let's see. I am almighty God. What's going on? The Wizards win today easily. The Clippers barely won the last game. I agree. I think that West has to make adjustments, but I think this is a winnable game. They're dealing with more injuries than we are. Obviously Leonard is always injury. It has injury bug. Paul George has dealt with his long list of injuries throughout his career, but day to day, you just don't really know what his lineup's going to be tomorrow night. You don't know. I mean, and with us, if I would put money on it, Bill and KP would be in the lineup. But again, you really don't see a rush of them getting them back either. I think they're already doing a mini. I don't want to say tank. They're famous for saying they're not going to tank, but you really don't see them in a hurry trying to get these guys back either. So I'm just saying. So I agree. I think it's a winnable game. I think the Lakers game could be winnable. I mean, really, how do you guard LeBron and AD? Russ has been struggling, and he got him on the second unit. So I think they're winnable games, and I'm going to get into my keys of victory before we wrap up tonight because I forgot to do that. So that's my bad. So, no, I definitely agree with you. Corey, what's up, man? You ain't got us winning, huh? I can see why you're skeptical, brother. It's going to be a tough road trip. I think they're winnable games. When I say winnable games, I think that if we do the things we need to do, we can win these games. But this team is not a good three-point shooting team. It's not a good, it's not a very good defensive team. You know, leadership is nil. You got Kyle Kuzma, but the leadership's not coming from where you needed to come from, franchise guy. So it's just a lot of questions. The contracts on this team is a lot of questions, and I put that on Tommy Shepard because I was a big fan of bringing Daniel Gafford here from Chicago, but the signing him to an extension so early in the game, I think was a problem, and it's going to cause problems because his extension kicks in that next season. So that create, I mean, the questions with that. Where does he slide in with the salary cap? And with this team not having a clear goal or vision going forward, it's a tough one. So I mean, if you look at, the list goes on. I feel you for saying that, but then man, you gotta be optimistic. You got to be optimistic. You got to try to be. Beer and whiskey helps. Let me tell you. All right, let's see. Peace. Well, recently I watched Wizards games without expectations and emotions. I mean, I feel you. I mean, I love this team, man. I've loved this team since I was a young buck growing up in VA, man, when they were the Bullets. So I've loved this team since Chris Webber was around. Rip Hamilton was around. The list goes on, man. You got to be optimistic, but I think a lot of the fans we're on the same page. We want to see a goal. We want to see a vision of where we're going. Don't overpay for a guy who's never played well as a first fiddle, right? And then and throw a bunch of guys together and say we're going for the playoffs, and then you're only content with the first round exit. I don't get that as a losing mentality. I think we really got to revamp this franchise. We say it time and time again. Start from scratch. So I feel you. I think a lot of people are already ready for the draft. I feel you. 11-18, the season is slipping fast. So I definitely feel you. Back to peace, man. Wizards need some change in governance. Yes, they do. Now, I don't see Ted going anywhere. Ted is about to buy the Washington Nationals. So he's not going anywhere. He's clearly trying to set a what do you call that? Well, I mean, he's going to run almost every team, a monopoly. There you go. He's going to have a monopoly in DC sports, buying the Nationals. And that's why it really behooves him to learn how to rebuild, because I say it almost every video. Look, the Nationals are 5 years away from doing anything serious. And if you're a baseball fan, you know how the Mets are rolling right now in the offseason. It's going to be maybe a little longer. But so he's not going anywhere. With the Capitals, the National, prospectively, the Nationals and then the Wizards. Now, you kind of want him to pay the same attention to the Wizards like he does at the Capitals. The Capitals are the big ticket when it comes to the Capital One Center. Big ticket. They have been for some time. I was looking at, if I'm going to compare it to something, looking at that documentary about Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, where it was talking about the Chicago Bulls before they drafted Michael Jordan, about they were getting outsold by an indoor soccer team. That's kind of how the Wizards are right now. I mean, we're being outsold by the Caps, man. He's, obviously a lot more attention goes towards the Capitals than they do the Wizards. And I think that has to change. So while I don't think that Ted is going to go anywhere, I think Thomas Shepard was the assistant underneath Ernie Grunfeld. I think it was kind of a lazy way of finding a replacement, just finding a guy that stuttered under the guy who couldn't get the job done. I don't understand that. So maybe you look at, because I mean, Thomas Shepard has done his thing when it comes to trades. The list goes on. Daniel Gafford, KP, getting rid of John and Russell's contract. So he's not a bad GM, but his drafting game is terrible. I mean, it's just he needs, so revamping his team. I think the scouting department has to be revamped. Definitely. I'm not one of these guys who rely on analytics, here and there, but I think that has to be a tool in the tool bag for this organization to kind of evaluate draft picks better. They have to. We've got to do better in the draft. So I agree. Let's see, man. Corey, back to you, man. They got my boy D so frustrated he ain't even streaming games right now. Yeah, I talk to D all the time, man. He's clearly frustrated, man. It's frustrating time, man, because we really came into the season with optimism. We talked about optimism and but that's the thing about sports, man. That's why you play the game. That's why you don't go off on the paper, because things happen. Things happen in sports. So I dig it. Let's see. We're going to do a few more because I know it is Friday night and I'm trying to pop open a beer. Let's see. Matt. Oh, no. Yes. What's going on, Matt? I like the Kings deal. It's a win-win in my opinion. Absolutely. Keegan Murray? Bro. Yeah, if you can get Keegan Murray and a first round pick, absolutely. Absolutely. The Kings wanted him. I think he can slide right in there and do well with what they're trying to do. They're under the radar. Not a lot of people expected the Kings to be a fringe playoff team, but I think he can come right in and really add that spark to try to make some noise in the Western Conference. So, man, Keegan Murray, yeah, absolutely, I'm with you, Matt. Great minds think alike, brother. I would definitely go for Keegan Murray in the first round pick. Corey, what's going on, man? The Wizards need an organizational makeup. Yep, we've been saying it, man. Absolutely. The top down. Ted ain't going nowhere, but you got to look at GM. You got to look at his assistant GM. You got to look at coach. Going into the offseason year 3. I mean, look, West has to start implementing this system in defense. Now, a part of me is like, okay, we rebuild. A part of me wants to see how West Unself does with a younger team. So he can kind of pick his pieces to implement a system. Because, he came in as a, first time head coach, with a lot of veterans, a lot of guys that didn't necessarily fit into a defensive system. Because, I mean, look at the roster right now. DeLon Wright can play D. Jordan Goodwin can play D. Outside of the big guys, which they've had their struggles against bigger, stronger bigs. We don't have a lot of guys. I mean, Denny. I mean, people are like, why didn't you say Denny? I mean, because Denny's just that's obvious. Denny is, way above average defensively. It's just his shot, and he's trying to drive a lot more. But anyways, this is just not a good defensive team. We don't have the pieces to really implement a system. So while I do dislike his rotations, I do dislike the fact that he has no fire, no emotion. A part of me does want to see how he does with a young team and how he can kind of find the pieces. Him, whether it's Tommy Shepard or any or a newer GM, and kind of find these guys to implement in the system. So, but I definitely agree. All right, we're gonna get into a couple more comments. And again, appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. Definitely appreciate y'all showing me love tonight. It's Friday night, so we're gonna try to keep it a little short. We're gonna be here a few more minutes, but definitely thank you guys. All right. Shout out to I Am My Almighty God, Corey Lott, Matt, Peace. Appreciate you guys, man. A lot of comments, a lot of feedback. We're going to do one more. Let's see. Brian Runts. What's up, brother? How you doing? The Wizards to trade Kuzma to Orlando and try to get folks and Cole Anthony. What's the other point guard they got in the first round pick? Cole Anthony. I like Cole Anthony, but he's kind of in the mold of a Monte Morris. He's not a bigger point guard who's going to defend people. And we need a guy like John Wall. People forget how good of a defensive player he was. He locked down that point guard position. Finding a guy who not only can distribute the ball, not only who can drive the lane, but somebody who can defend. That's what we need. We need a guy who we can send him out there, lock down the other team's point guard. That's what we need. And I don't see that with Cole Anthony. Now, I would like him on the second unit, but with Monte Morris here, it neglects the fact, so yeah, looking at their guards, Jalen Suggs is intriguing. But I'm a pass on Orlando. Now, Orlando does have some pieces I might consider, but but yeah, I'm not running with that. Corey Lott. I would love Keegan Murray here in Washington. You are not the only one, brother. That would be a good move, man. So let's see. We're gonna do we'll do 3 more, man. I'm feeling optimistic today. Let's get it. All right, let's see. Oh man, that is a mouthful. 2J Nev Arutu. Woo! For what players should we trade for? That's a really, really interesting question, man, because before, I say this a lot, before I can answer that question, I need to know is where are we going with this team? If we're trying to build around Bill and try to get in a play-in or 6 to 8, the options are rare because we don't have a lot of draft picks, and out of our young guys, Rui is probably the one who's during the most buzz. It's tough right now. Now, if we're rebuilding, it opens up a lot of options. Who am I trading for? You saw, from me, from Corey, Keegan Murray. If I'm Tommy, I'm trying to get Keegan Murray because you're kickstarting your rebuild. Keegan Murray's a guy who, as a rookie, not only do you have him on a rookie scale contract for the next 3-4 years, that's you're jumpstarting your rebuild. Keegan Murray in this lineup going forward, rebuilding, that is a good talent to have. That is a good foundational piece to have. So I'm definitely rolling with that. So let's get to a couple more. Shug, what's up? And I'm gonna hit you up with the other comment. Monte for a year-long bus pass. I mean, Monte, I think Monte is best served on the second unit. I do like Monte. His shot is starting to get more consistent, but I like him on the second unit, not as a starter. I wasn't a big fan of the trade. I'll try to be optimistic about the trade, but I wasn't big on it because looking at the trade for me at the time it happened, there's two things I didn't like. Number one, I felt like we traded a good defensive player, a really the best 3-and-D player we had at the time in KCP, for a guy who's not known for his defensive prowess, who, yeah, can hit the three-point shot, but as you know about Will Barton, he can be a microwave scorer, but he's too inconsistent. And looking at Monte Morris, I still got PTSD from Spencer Dinwiddie, and I'm still kind of mad he's doing all right in Dallas. But, I think we need to get out of the whole mold of trying to find these combo guards and turn them into point guards. I think it's the wrong way to go. So I feel you, but I think Monte, he's here for 2 years. I like to see him stay and be that second team point guard. Now, obviously, there's questions. Delon's here. Jordan Goodwin. So a lot of questions. What's up, Ed Oliver, the real Ed Oliver? What's up, y'all? Good show, Brandon. Appreciate you, brother. Definitely appreciate you, man. Let's see, couple more. I think that's it, guys. Again, thank you. Thank you for everybody for tuning in tonight and watching the show. I definitely appreciate you guys. I know it's Friday night. It's ready to pop open the beers and get it rocking. So again, definitely appreciate everybody. I'm going to remind everybody tomorrow at 4:00, the Wizards play at LA, their first of a back-to-back. So definitely show up or not show up. I mean, if you wanted to, go ahead, but definitely watch the game, show your love. Let's try to get this done. Let's try. Real quick, my keys to victory. One, 3-point shooting has to be decent. High percentage 3-point shots. We are not a good 3-point shooting team. I say this all the time. It feels like I'm saying the same, keys to victory. But I think that, and I'm not just going to say 3-point shooting. Shots, period. High percentage shots. Really pass the ball around. Really get into team basketball, ball movement, shooting these high percentage shots. Because if I'm the Clippers, I'm going to do like I did last time, and I'm going to throw a zone on us and force us to shoot the three. Start getting, so that goes right into my second key to victory. Drive the lane, drive the lane, drive the lane, drive the lane. Push the pace. We push the pace. Try to catch this team off guard. And three, I don't want to see double teams, and I want to see us lock down the perimeter. Lock down the perimeter. This team can cook you. We look, we we saw it firsthand. This team can cook it. There's a lot of 3-point shooters on this team. Marcus Morris Sr. showed he can shoot three. List goes on. Terrence Mann can shoot three. Kennard, Paul George can at a high percentage. So we definitely have to lock down the perimeter and really lock down defense, period, because we have issues everywhere in defense. So that would be my 3 keys to victory. So again, 4:00 tomorrow, the Wizards at the Clippers. Definitely watch the game, pop a beer open, and try to get this dub tomorrow. So again, thank you guys for listening tonight. Definitely check out me and E on Twitter and Instagram. On game days, we're on there chatting it up. So definitely check us out. YouTube, we are close to 3,000 subscribers. So definitely like, subscribe, show some love, comment below. We'd love to hear from you guys. So everybody, thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Everybody have a blessed weekend. And we will see you guys tomorrow night. I'm going to do a review of the game at 9:00. It's going to be a live video. So definitely tune at 9 tomorrow. I'm going to do a review of the Clippers game. So definitely everybody have a blessed weekend. Stay safe, drink responsibly, and peace.